going to be making this in this video. So this is a banoffee cake. You'll see along the way that I'm quite a messy baker, hence the final product. But yeah, hope you enjoy. Right, so first we need to grease the tins and then line them with greaseproof paper. So just like that. It doesn't matter how much you get really, as long as it's enough to stick one of these on. And just stick it in. Eventually, like that. And there's a little bit of butter on the edge just so the cake doesn't stick. Now I'm going to preheat the oven at 180 degrees. This is a fan oven. And then we can start the baking. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to get 300 grams of light brown sugar. So I'm just going to measure that out first. This is definitely my favourite kind of sugar to bake with. You can actually get it out. Perfect. I'm quite a messy baker, so please excuse any mess. And then we need 300 grams of butter. This is the best for making fluffy cakes, personally, I think so. That is what we're going to use today. I'm going to reset my scales. Yeah, it's over a little bit, but it's fine. Some of it will stick to the tub, and then I'm just going to grab a wooden spoon and beat that together. So at the moment I don't actually have a proper sort of kitchen aid to help me, so everything that I do is by hand. So it takes a little while longer to actually get things done. So that's okay. So just until it's all mixed together and then light and fluffy. So once you've beaten the sugar and the butter together, it should look a little something like this, quite light and fluffy. And then we need to grab 4 eggs and we add them one at a time. So just going to crack those in. So mix the egg in. Add the next one. don't want to over mix it, but at this stage it's probably okay. So it should look a little something like this. Not too appealing when you put the eggs in. So next we need 300 grams of plain flour. So we're just going to sift that so it's nice and smooth. And whilst we've still got the flour in here, we need to add 2 tablespoons of baking powder, 1 tablespoon of bicarb. I'm just going to add that to the flour like a flat, a bit more, a flat tablespoon. And then 2 of the baking powder. One, 2. And then you need to add that slowly to your wet mix. So this is where we need to be a bit more careful and start to fold it in. So once the flour's all folded in and the bicarb, you should have quite a nice smooth cakey mixture. And then you will need to then add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Such a satisfying noise. 1, 2. I don't mind adding a little extra, I quite like it. And then just mix that in. Like so. And then, as it is a banoffee cake, we obviously need banana. So preferably ripe bananas, but today I only have 2 ripe bananas, which is fine. I'm sure it will all taste the same. We need to mash up those 4 bananas and then add it to our mixture. Banana is relatively mashed, you add it into the cake mix. I'm going to do a little bit at a time just so it spreads a bit more evenly in the batter. Now the bananas are all just mixed in, we're going to evenly fill these tins with the mixture. Just doing it a little bit at a time so it can spread out. So obviously now we filled the tins, they need to go into the oven at 180 degrees for 35 minutes. Preferably the middle shelf, just because it's better in the middle. So for the buttercream we need 150 grams of unsalted butter. As I said before, I don't have a KitchenAid, so it takes me a little longer to soften the butter to make a smooth buttercream. So the cake is still in the oven, so I'm just going to take this time to kind of beat it and kind of get it ready for making the buttercream. So after 35 minutes, I've checked it with a skewer and it's ready to come out. So it just needs to be cooled in the tins for 10 minutes. And then once they've cooled in there, they can go on a wire rack to cool fully. So I softened 150 grams of unsalted butter and mix that together because it's easier to mix the icing sugar into it. So now we need 500 grams of this. I'm going to sift it just so it's a bit easier and smoother. Let's pour it in. Again, I'm so messy with this, so please excuse any icing sugar explosions. So once you've got your 500 grams of icing sugar all sifted, we just add it in a little bit at a time and beat it together with the butter. So once you've combined the icing sugar with the butter, it will look a little bit crumbly because there is a lot more icing sugar than there is butter. But now it's time to add 200 grams of soft cheese. You can use any soft cheese. I'm just using Philadelphia today. So just open it up. And then scoop in, if it comes off, 200 grams. Lovely. And then that just needs to go into your buttercream mix. Once Philadelphia is mixed in, you can make your own caramel, but the recipe that I used tells you to use this particular caramel. So I'm now going to add 100 grams of that into the buttercream mix. Just open that up. Obviously, where it's been in the tin, it does need a little bit of a stir. Ooh. Perfect. And then obviously looks wonderful. And then it needs to go into the buttercream and then just combine that together. So folding it in, it can take a little bit of time just because you want to keep as much air in there as possible. So once you have let your cakes cool in the tin for 10 minutes and they've been on a wire rack, they should be cool to touch. And that is when you can mix up 50 grams of your caramel from a tin. And then that needs to be your bottom layer here. So I've just moved the cake onto the tray that I'm going to be, I guess you could say, serving it from. Just because it's easier to move without anything on it. just spread it over. Nice layer. And then we need to grab our buttercream. And then a nice layer of that on top. So it should be quite easy to spread because of the caramel. It doesn't matter if it mixes. It just tastes nice, won't it? Get a nice layer on. And then this needs to cool in the fridge just for 10 minutes. So once it's been in the fridge for 10 minutes, it should be ready to have the top layer put on. So I'm just going to try and slowly get this off of here. And I want to have the flatter side at the top, so just gently place it on. And then you should be ready to put the rest of your buttercream on the top. It should be nice and smooth, so you can easily spread it over the top and then around the sides as well. And then once this is done, it needs to go back in the fridge for half an hour. And then there's like a topping to do, which we'll show you once we have got this back out. I'm not very artsy, so it's not going to be perfect, but you know, it's a rustic cake and it's the taste that counts. So once it's all smoothed over, we're going to now put it back into the fridge just for half an hour to kind of set the buttercream, and then we'll make the topping. So now we're going to make our topping. So you need to chop 2 preferably ripe bananas. You can cut them into any shape really. It tells you to cut them to make kind of this shape. But I know I've done a bit of a mixture because, you know, it's banana, isn't it? And once you've done that, you then need to add it to the melted butter. I'm just going to kind of caramelise them and add a bit of caramel to it as well. So hopefully it'll make it nice and sweet for a nice topping. Just let that warm up a little bit more. I don't know, I might have to do 2 lots of this. I've got quite a lot of banana and just a little pan. We'll see how we go. So I've actually got 100 grams of caramel in a separate pot, and I'm just going to add a tablespoon of cold water to it just so it's a bit more smoother. And kind of whisk that together. So you should have quite nice runny caramel. Just going to make sure all the banana is in the pan. So this should take about 2 to 3 minutes. Just caramelise them a little bit. And then you need to leave them to cool for a little while once you've done this, and then you can add half of the caramel and just stir it through all the bananas. So now the cake's been in the fridge for half an hour, we're going to put our caramelised bananas on the top. So there's no kind of set way to do this. I'm just going to put them on. I'm not very artsy, like I said. Spread them about. Might put some just here. You know, why not? Like I said, it's about the taste, isn't it? And then finish it off with the rest of your caramel. So you just kind of want to drizzle, give it another little stir, and just kind of drizzle it over the top like this. Kind of like a banoffee pie would look like, I guess. So I'm chucking it everywhere, but I'm not going to use all of it just because there's quite a lot of caramel on my bananas already. Don't worry about the mess, you can always clean it up. You can always also do like a drip if you want, just by putting the caramel around the edge and just letting it drip down slowly as it will dry. And that's it.